These are just a few postcards I picked up in a recent auction purchase. Um, and it's always fun to try to make out, where the thing went and what the dates are. This is a postcard from 1901, mailed from Jerusalem. Of course, that was part of the Turkish Empire, the Ottoman Empire at that time. And there's several interesting things. One of the things I noticed is that the words carte postale seem to have been crossed out, and somebody's written imprimé, which is the French for printed matter. Now, I don't know if that made a difference to the rate, or somebody did that for some reason. The imprimé is underneath the cancellation on the top. So it would appear that this was mailed in Jerusalem, and the first numbers here on the cancellation would be the day of the month. So that looks like 18. It's hard to read the rest, but then on the cancellation on the center there, the upper center, the date is 38, and then 901 means 1901. So my theory is that this was mailed in Jerusalem and was destined for Austria, and postal material going to foreign destinations would be sent to Constantinople and then shipped overseas from there. So it went from Jerusalem. It's hard to make out the letters on the bottom of that upper center cancel, but I believe what that is Stamboul départ in French. In other words, leaving from Istanbul. So apparently it took from the 18th to the 30th just to get from Jerusalem to Istanbul. And then it arrived in Salzburg. The receiving mark there is Salzburgstadt, is on the 3rd of October. So from the end of September to the 3rd of October, from Constantinople, Istanbul to Salzburg. The stamp is a stamp issued in 1901 for foreign postage. They had separate sets for foreign and domestic, and this is for foreign. And since the normal letter rate would have been 20 para, postcard is 10 para, which is the stamp. So everything seems normal as far as that goes. I have a copy of the Turkish script alphabet, but the letters are formed different ways on different words, and depending on whether the letter is the initial or in the middle of the word or at the end of the word, I find it extremely confusing and hard to decipher. So I didn't bother to try to read the Turkish script. I just studied the lower part, which is in Latin letters, and I believe it's Stamboul départ. Let's go to the next one. This is simply a postcard view of Salonika, now called Thessaloniki. Salonique à vol d'oiseau. I suppose that means a bird's eye view. And again, on the left there is Souvenir de Salonique in French, and above it is Turkish writing, which I don't even, some of those marks I don't even have in my version of the alphabet.
The first word there is Salonika.
And the second one, can you make out anything?
Yadukari, but I don't know what that means.
Well, the other side of this card, this was mailed using the Austrian post office in the Ottoman Empire. Nice. And its cancellation is Salonique on the top, and Salonique, so German and French. Also notice it's addressed, it seems to be written in Czech, addressed to Prague, and it's Prague, Bohemia. The other one, the one we just saw before, was labeled Austria, Salzburg, Austria. And Prague, of course, at this time was also part of the Austrian Empire, but I guess Bohemia was good enough to get it there.
1911 on the
yeah. Right. So that's shortly before World War One, and the Austrian Empire was still going strong at that point. Now, this one,
That's
um,
nice.
mailed in Smyrna, the octagonal cancel there. It's a piece of postal stationery with this, what I consider a very attractive imprint. The post Ottoman with this is the symbol of Turkey. It's on the Turkish flag, the star over the crescent moon. And they've made this into a clever design with, of course, the Sultan's Tugra, the signature imprint of the Sultan here in the center. So it seems to have gone for a total of 50 paras, 20, 20, and 10. And this, I believe, the rectangular mark would be a censor marking. So this was mailed during World War I. And I know that in particular because, although I can't, this 18 here may be 1918, but it's hard to tell whether that's the year. But the stamps, these were issued in 1915. And the story behind these overprints, which any collector of Turkish stamps will be familiar with, at the when the war broke out and Turkey aligned itself with the Central Powers, Germany and Austria, they could no longer procure stamps from their usual source. I believe these were printed in London, at least that's what my sources say. And so their source of new stamps was cut off. So what they did is they took a lot of older stamps, everything that had been issued starting about 1890, whatever supplies they had. Now, these were stamps that had been demonetized. They were no longer valid. But in order to validate them again and make them useful for postage during the war, they put the overprints on, the star over the crescent moon. And the date, 1331, corresponds to 1915 in the Western calendar. Now the star, the six-pointed star here, this was used for 1 year in 1915 and then was changed. I don't have an example of it here, although you see the five-pointed star here. The overprints on older stamps was changed from a six-pointed star to a five-pointed star in 1916. So these were from 1915. And you might ask, well, why did they change it? The reason I've read is simply that the Turks suddenly got the idea that the six-pointed star was a Christian symbol. I mean, it's also a Jewish symbol, but the idea was this: they thought somebody told them, or they read somewhere, that the six-pointed star represented the Star of Bethlehem, which is part of the Christian story. And so they wanted to get away from that and went to a five-pointed star instead. So here we have Prague, Österreich.
The word in the upper left-hand corner is Germany, Almania, and Turkey.
Okay.
Maybe the first person who saw it said maybe somebody else in the system won't know where to send it, so he wrote the Turkish version. And
so that's the Turkish version of Germany, not Austria?
Germany, yes.
Okay, well, that's all for today.